Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. I'm Kel McDonald and I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com.
Hi everyone, my name is Jose Pimienta, and I also make comics, and you can read some of them, and you can see some of them on my website, josepimienta.com.
So,
Uh,
Joe,
yes, Cal.
Elon Musk is buying Twitter.
Uh, okay. Um, um, okay, let's talk about this. What do you think of that?
I mean, it just continues to prove that he's a dumb, egotistical billionaire.
Sure.
Um, and the fact that he decided that buying Twitter was the best use of his money shows that he's not very smart.
Mm.
Um, and um, yeah. Apparently, though, a lot more right wing users joined Twitter after hearing the news, and a lot of apolitical and/or leftist users deleted their accounts.
Yeah, that's
Um,
I've been seeing some of that happening.
so
So,
we're gonna have to all leave Twitter. I don't know where we're gonna go next.
yeah, I
I
don't know where. Yeah, like
I hate it.
yeah, like similar thing. I don't know what. Give me one quick second because I'm trying to lock into Twitch and I did this the wrong way. Um,
MT Blade, he hasn't bought it yet. Shareholders have to vote on the final deal, um, and it has to get cleared first. But he is an
right.
egotistical moron. But so, like,
Yeah. So like,
even the news that he wants to buy it or is trying to, like,
so
um,
so
so here's the thing: is I think the shareholders are gonna approve it because, um, Twitter's a money sink. Like, it's
sure.
awful. It's already losing users even before Elon Musk said he was gonna buy it. So I think that they are gonna be like, this is our time to get paid and get out. Like, they're gonna see this as
Yeah.
their exit.
Yeah.
Um,
So one of the things that I've already told Kristen this, and I'll hold on, and I still stand by this until I hear until I'm proven, until I'm proven otherwise. But it's like
mhm.
and again, I've seen the tweets that kind of that back this up, where it's like the dude is very much of like his cars didn't get to be the cool thing that he was expecting them to. He's not going to Mars anytime soon, if ever, and everyone thinks he's a giant joke. So I think that he was just
No,
like
he has a
like
lot
like
of fanboys.
uh
Um,
but not really. I mean, yes, he has a lot of fanboys, but particularly in a cult, particularly in a type of culture that is not very well respected.
hmm.
Because I mean, like, I do think that he's just like he wants to own something, whatever that something is, just to claim ownership of. So
He really
yeah,
wants to
like
make tunnels happen.
he really wants to make tunnels happen, and I think that he just wants to be seen as the cool guy. He wants to be like a cool rich
He
guy,
wants
which
people to think that he's Iron Man.
sure, yeah, yes, yes. And the thing is, even though there's tech bros out there who are like, yeah, Elon Musk is really cool, blah blah blah. Mainstream wise, no, he isn't. He's not respected that way. He's not viewed that way.
So
So
you
yeah,
say that, Joe, but you know who thinks Elon Musk is smart?
I mean, I already said tech bros, but who
My
who else
little
did you have in there?
brother
Oh, okay.
thinks Elon Musk is smart. He's not like a diehard Elon Musk fanboy. But
Hmm.
he's like, well, he's smart because he's rich.
Right, but I would ask
And
this, like, we're talking about your brother? Does your little brother follow him frequently on social
no,
medias or exactly? Like that's my point. Like it's like from a distance, he has the appeal of like, well, clearly he must know what he's doing. He's a billionaire. But anyone that starts getting a little too close, they're like, why is he doing that? Oh, I guess he's kind of dumb, or like, or he's just not that impressive. And that's more
The
where I'm
the
kind of
value
getting toward.
of Tesla stock dropped because he offered to buy Twitter.
I mean, it reminds me of like when he went on SNL, the value of his cryptocurrency also dropped. It's like, I
People
mean,
saw he was an idiot.
yeah. So and again, like I don't have any like data to back this up. Like I'm just telling you what I think. Like again, like this is what I'll stand by until I am proven otherwise. But you make an interesting point of like, no, a lot of people think he's smart. Yeah, tech bros who from a distance are like, well, clearly he's rich, so he must know what he's talking about. But as soon as anyone gets close enough, they're like, huh, I don't know, he's saying a lot of wacky shit. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that he just kind of got to this point where he's like, I want to be the cool billionaire guy. My cars are not nearly as respected as I wanted them to, and they're not taking over the oil industry as I thought they were. SpaceX is not exactly off to the races, and he's not going to Mars tomorrow. So again, he's just kind of like, but I must be cool. I'm like, you're not. You're just not. Congratulations. You make nothing, you own nothing, you're worthless. But you have a lot of money and you could have done something, but you didn't. So, um, anyways, that's my rant on that part. And then the other part that you're saying that I am also a little nervous and afraid about as well is like, yeah, like a lot of bigots are gonna come flocking through the website and just kind of turn it into a bigger cesspool than what it has already claimed to be. So, mm Um, and I don't know what other social media to use, so I don't-
um, I'm considering
yeah,
paying someone to run my social media
yeah,
because I hate it.
yeah.
You favorited this thing that I retweeted. That what I now believe is the best use of TikTok.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yes, I thought that
Folks
was
in
very
chat,
funny.
there's a beautiful local news station in Boston that was like, we're going to show you the hidden gems of Boston. You see, if you go to this corner, there's a beautiful coffee shop called Dunkin's. And then, after you get your coffee, there's another hidden gem on the corner of blank and blank called Dunkin's, and they serve bagels. And it's
It's,
just him going to
it's
various Dunkin'
different.
Donuts.
It's so good. It's so good. Like, it's just.
And you know
I
what my
don't know
response to seeing that was?
what.
I miss Dunkin's.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't have Dunkins over in Portland, right?
No.
No. Because I know that for the longest time, Duncan's was nowhere near the West Coast, let alone anywhere near the middle. It was specifically
There's
an
that
East Coast
one
thing.
Dunkin's in San Diego that I hit up every San Diego
That's
Comic Con.
true. That's true. That's true. That's right. Right by the convention center. You're right. Because for anyone here, now there are Dunkin' Donuts here in LA, and they're fine. They seem to be doing well. But yeah, like I do remember that for the longest time, it was very specifically an East Coast thing.
Specifically,
Except for
like New England.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, that's that's one of those things that I do kind of find a little, somewhat fascinating. Of like when you start seeing regional gems or regional
um,
appreciated. Oh, go
Varlet,
ahead.
a thing is, they're trying to sort of rebrand as Dunkies or Dunkins because so many people now are more like gluten free and they've expanded their breakfast menu that I think it's just like New England is the first place where they're doing the rebranding. Um, and that is just hasn't hit the rest of the country yet because they don't have as many Dunkin' Donuts as
Right.
everyone else.
Do you think it's gonna stick, or do you think it's gonna be one of those IHOP to IHOB thing?
It might stick just because it's easier to say than Dunkin' Donuts. Like,
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, Mickey D's did stick around, and even though it's not the mainstream way of saying McDonald's, it's still got
Like
pretty,
people still say it, so I think like
yeah,
Dunkies might stick.
right.
Um,
But yeah, so yeah. Anyways, yes, I did see that. I did see that tweet that you made, and I was like, you know what, this is actually very brilliant. So it's stars.
this is the best
Congratulations.
use of TikTok. The
This is the best.
TikTok
I
is
also I also really liked your sub your subtweet to that of like, oh, it auto corrected it because it
yeah.
doesn't want me.
Twitter auto corrected me saying TikTok. So clearly Twitter does not want people to know other social medias exist. Um,
To, you know what? It's if yeah,
they know that
mm,
everyone's leaving.
they know that everyone is leaving, so they're trying to figure out how to a way to kind of get people to stay. Um, are you considering getting like? Would you consider getting rid of your Twitter altogether? Like, what's where are you with that? Because I mean, you already said that you
Well,
would
here's the
you would
thing:
pay.
is I never technically got rid of my Livejournal, so this is the thing:
Oh,
is if I'm gonna pay someone to update all my social medias, like I'll just keep using Twitter, but through them and not actually
gotcha,
using it.
gotcha. Wait, does
Um,
your live journal still exist?
technically, like I never disabled it, so it does technically still exist. Um,
Wow. I mean, I guess I'll tell you this. Like,
I
it's
mean,
a it took me.
unless LiveJournal went through and deleted all the accounts that haven't updated in like 3 years, like,
Okay, well,
um,
when was the last time you logged into LiveJournal?
um, me as a human being or the plugin on my WordPress site.
I want to know both.
Me as a human being, probably 2010 ish.
Okay, all right,
The auto poster plugin stopped working on LiveJournal um, in um, I want to say 2016.
okay, that's not that long ago.
Um, it was something like it said like the password of the API was wrong, and I was like, I don't care enough about LiveJournal to fix this, so we're moving on.
Fair
Um,
enough.
like technically, um, I update my Tumblr. Like at your wedding, someone asked if I was on Tumblr, and I said technically I am because I have an auto poster that posts to Tumblr every time I update my website. Um, so technically, I'm on Tumblr still.
Gotcha. See, because that's the thing. Like, I do go through the trouble of deleting and just like erasing everything. Like, even though it takes me a very long time. Like, yeah, like I think I deleted my Tumblr, and I know for a fact that I deleted my Deviant. Never had a live journal.
Oh,
Deleted my
I
Facebook.
my DeviantArt is still going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
going strong. Going.
I haven't posted anything on there. It exists, and people can click it. Uh,
Yeah, no, like I got rid of that. Like I, I did that. I think I did that back in 2018, actually, maybe even 2019, and that was just like such a weird process of like, oh gosh, I haven't seen this illustration since 2011, maybe. No, that's not true. I might have gone a little further than maybe 2012 when I was still posting, maybe. But anywho, my point is to say that like I don't know about deleting my Twitter because I mean, other like I just don't have any other social media other than Instagram, and just I mean, I'm not particularly wild about either of those. So,
yeah.
um, a- and also, I mean, I don't know, like I don't know if this is just me as a person or maybe I'm inviting the internet into playing on me, but like I think I do pretty okay in navigating Twitter without getting sucked into horrible arguments or by dodging, dodging bigotry, really. Um, and I don't know if that's just like either because I have worked my algorithm to do that, or if I just like if I see something that I just like, oh, that's something that I
Well,
don't
see,
want to
my
do.
problem was never getting sucked into all those things. My problem
Mhm.
was the thought of what do I post on Twitter today was an
Mhm.
exercise I found exhausting.
Right,
So like even if Twitter was the best, funniest place in the world, like
which is
dream
not
social media, things actually show up in the order they're posted on rather than some nonsense algorithm.
right.
Um, then I would still be like, man, thinking of shit to put on Twitter, that's energy that I don't got.
Word, yeah, no, it is exhausting. I mean, like it's a. I think I mentioned this before, where it's like my go-to for posting things like that is like, I mean, I'll just relink a YouTube thing or
And
I'll retweet something. But
so
like
it's
other than
like
that,
the purpose of Twitter is to get people to buy my shit.
right?
So everyone in the chat, please go buy my shit.
You,
Um,
you've been warned.
back my Patreon, subscribe to my newsletter, buy my shit. Um, and like the reason why I stopped actively posting to Tumblr is because Tumblr started to hide external links.
Mm,
So it made it impossible to like do good promo for Kickstarters and whatnot on Tumblr.
hmm.
Like, and then all my friends left Tumblr because it said no, not safe for work art. So um, now people are going back to Tumblr because it's weird. Um,
What do you mean it's weird?
it's just people posting shit posts like
Okay.
constantly
Oh,
now.
okay.
So apparently, Tumblr's a good time right now. Um, cause, cause people just post jokes and no one gives a shit about it. Um, when Abigail Thorne came out as trans, there's obviously that very thoughtful video on YouTube. They made a thoughtful post on Twitter and on like their Facebook page. Um, and then her post on Tumblr was do I'm trans. Whoop de whoop. Like literally, that's it. Those exact words were her coming out post on Tumblr,
Very,
and that's sort
very
of
professional.
the mood on Tumblr.
I mean, that's great. Like it's man, maybe I should go back to
Um,
Tumblr.
yeah,
If I
maybe we
mean,
should all go back to Tumblr.
maybe we should all go
But
back to
the
Tumblr.
point is it still hides external links. So
Mm,
like, while Tumblr might be a fun time now, I can't use it to promote my shit.
mm.
Um, so uh, that's sort of like I Pillow Fort seems nice, but no one uses Pillow Fort yet. Um,
Yeah, I've heard of Pillow Fort, but I haven't tried that either.
Basically, it's a social media site designed by artists that were like, well, we liked Tumblr and we liked being able to reblog people's stuff, but we liked the comment system on Livejournal better because it was like fucking impossible to follow a conversation through reblogs on Tumblr. So it's like it's organized very nicely, and was designed by artists. And because of that, no one else gives a shit about it. uh,
Shit. Can you
but
hear
yeah,
my scanner, by the way?
no.
Okay, great. Just making sure because like I have a couple of things to scan and I just want to make sure that it's like in case
Varlet,
you hear.
I'm with you. Varlet is saying there are too many social networks for me to keep track of all of them.
That's
Varlet,
true.
hard agree. I don't have the energy to post on them all, and the problem is that a lot of people just pick their one and stick to only that. So
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the thing that I'm trying to do is to get everyone on all my social medias to subscribe to my newsletter, because that isn't going to go away. Like, if that all comes crumbling down, um
Yeah, you've
uh
mentioned this. You've tweeted about this before, like back when was this? You tweeted about this. What the hell was what was going on? That it's like that it was that they were making some changes or something. Um, what was the reason why? Like you posted specifically about like, look, this is all like why you have always supported the idea that it's better to have your own website and it's better to have your own means
it
because
most recently it might have been when Kickstarter decided that they're
that's
on
when it
the
was. Yes,
blockchain.
yes, that's when it was. Yes,
But I have tweeted things like that multiple times, because there's also been a couple of times when Patreon keeps trying to change the way it charges people. It's trying to solve a problem that doesn't seem to exist. Um, and then like then you get stuff like them changing the rules about not safe for work art. Um, um, and what counts as not safe for work art. A lot of just stuff like that.
right.
Um, and a couple of years ago, Kevin Burkhalter had me talk to some SCAD kids, because he's teaching the webcomic class now.
Burghalter,
Um, yeah,
nice.
or at least at the time that he invited me to speak to the SCAD kids, he was teaching it. Um, and so I was giving my talk, and he was like, "Hey, so when we were in college, like you had all this stuff that was like how you made money off your webcomic," and I was like, "And it's all outdated, and you can't
Right.
do that anymore." Um, and everything that I use to get Sorcery 101 off the ground doesn't exist anymore. So here's a valuable lesson, kids, in always make your own shit. Like, use the tools that are out there, but also have like your own shit as a backup. Um,
Yeah, and I think that that also kind of speaks into like this little segment that Dan Olson was mentioning in his The Line Goes Up video, where he
mm-hmm.
was talking about like how when the history of people having a space on the internet has evolved all the way from you either you knew how to code, so therefore you can make your own website, or eventually making a website became easier, but then eventually that led into, well, you can just get different templates to have your own website, and then that also just led into like, well, you can just you can just be part of these platforms. And I think that I've mentioned this example before, but like for example, my brother and I had this conversation when Stars Hide Your Fire came out, and he was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah, you should promote it on Facebook." And I said, "I don't have a Facebook," and he goes like, "Well, you're really missing out." Because like and again like we kind of had a back and forth, but like him getting to the point of like in Mexico, if you want to have a website, the best way to go is through Facebook. That's how everyone does it. And I was like, I mean, that kind of sounds a little silly, and I don't like that, so whatever. But also, there was a lot of truth to what he said there, and I found that to be somewhat accurate. Where, like, for instance, there's a lot of Mexican bands that I've been discovering, or a lot of interesting products that I have been discovering, and when I look for information on it, the only accessible web presence that a lot of these Mexican products or musicians or artists have is through a Facebook page. And I'm just like, God damn it! It's a, but like I'm not gonna write this. I want to be like, yo, I want to check out your stuff. Why don't you make a website yourself? Or get a Wix
And
or something.
And everyone is like, because everyone's leaving Twitter now, everyone's posting like, follow me on Instagram, and I'm like,
Same thing.
that'd be great if I could say that.
Right. Did you ever
I'm
end up figuring out what the whole issue
no,
was?
no, they
No?
never replied. I'm
Right.
just banned. If I want a new Instagram, I need a new email.
Ugh.
Which goes back to if I hire someone to do all my social medias, I might make an email that's like kelsocial at gmail. Um,
Right.
and just have
Yeah.
that be the login. Yeah.
And yeah, and that's just like, I'm sure like, something that we all know here, which is kind of like the obvious, like that's just more work. That's that
Mm-hmm.
that is just more work. That is more work that nobody needs. That is just annoying. And it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. So one of my things for this month is to make a style guide for images that are for social media with my stuff. And I might hire Sophie, who we explained perspective to on a stream once.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I remember. Like, I mean, we've never met, but like I did see
But
that.
they were on the voice chat, and we told them how to draw good backgrounds.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, like that's the extent of what I know about that
Yeah,
person. So cool, yeah. But you're a little you're more friendly with
yeah.
them, right? Cool,
They're in the anime children Discord that I'm in.
gotcha.
I'm the
Uh,
oldest person in that Discord.
I mean, what do you think? Like, what do you think is worst, to be the youngest person in a group or to be the oldest person in a group?
I don't know. They're different flavors of weird. Because I was the
I,
youngest person in a group for a real long time. I remember when I was visiting Portland and Patrick Reynolds had first moved here.
mhm.
And I was just in town for Stumptown. Uh, he turns to me and he says, "Kel, you're smart. What are you doing about health insurance as a freelancer?" And I said, "I'm under 25, so I'm on my parents' health insurance still." Uh, he's like, "Okay." um,
So
uh,
that's,
So
I
it's
mean,
one
like
of those
that's
things where it's like I don't have this problem because I'm a child still. Um,
but that problem's gonna come a knocking pretty soon. So
um,
and I mean,
and
as a
then on the anime children Discord, we were talking about parents being difficult.
okay,
And several, without giving away like personal details to people, we had
yeah,
several
yeah.
who were like, I shared some stories about my mom after they shared stories about their mom. And they were like, at what age do you get to stop putting up with that type of stuff?
Ooh.
And I told them when you move out, because that's when you can afford to tell them fuck you.
I mean,
Um, like,
uh,
until then, you're financially dependent, so I'm sorry you have to suck it up and deal with all your parents' dumb bullshit. Like, because this wasn't stuff that's abusive, it's more annoying.
right,
Um, like the
yeah, no,
example I gave of my mom is she's like sitting on the couch and the remote's just slightly out of reach, and I'm on the other side of the room, and she's like, "Can you get me the remote?"
it's
And it's like,
so
so I have
unnecessary.
to get up and walk across the room because you don't want to slightly stand up to reach over. Like,
Oof.
so it was that sort of level rather than like someone being abusive or whatever.
Right. But yeah, I mean that, and also like again, like I always just constantly remember Tom Lyle's words, where it's just like, again, for the internet, because I know that I've told this to you,
Mm-hmm.
but like Tom was 55 when he said this to me. Why
Mm-hmm.
is it every time that I go home, I turn into a 50-year-old? And that's when it dawned on me. It's like, oh, this shit is never over. Like it's like because you're right, you can move out, and that's when you can be done, and you can set aggressive um, boundaries. That is a possibility, and
Yeah.
yes, you know, one that is financially dependent, one that is financially significant for sure means a lot. Totally hear that.
Mhm.
Um, but again, like we're also kind of talking on levels that are like not emergencies, for lack of a better word.
Mhm.
Like we're not talking abuse. We're just talking like. So even though you're right, once you move out, they can still call you, and they can still insist that you come visit, and they can still be very present, and not necessarily in a yeah. You
That's
can
the
always
beauty of
just
living on the other side of the country, Joe.
yeah. You can always. I mean, yeah. You can always. Well, also parentheses for the record. I love my mom. I love being in touch with my mom, and I have. I would describe my relationship with my parents positive. That being said, that is not the same case for other family members, and that is not
Mhm.
the case for everybody. Is more what the point that I'm getting at. But I'm also just getting to the point of like, but I'm also just illustrating the point that whether it's preferable or not, like, yeah, like they can still like relatives can still be existing in in your orbit and make you feel as if it's something inescapable. So it's more what I was kind of getting at. But yeah, like when is that shit over? I mean, whenever you want, whenever you set the boundary. Like I
Yeah.
guess is my answer to that.
Whenever
Like
whenever like you can afford to not live with them and set that boundary.
right, and I mean,
Um
and also like, look, I don't mean to say that that is easy and or like it's. But again, like, it depends. I mean, yeah, some people have a very difficult relationship with relatives. Some people just have a not preferable relationship, and some people have a very positive one. So it
Also,
really
other
depends.
stories from the anime Discord is I was talking about um, Blue Delaconte teaching a class,
Hmm.
and apparently Gen Z doesn't know how to do file management on a computer.
What do you mean by
Um,
file management?
it's in okay in my work folder. There's a folder that says comics, and then in comics there's a folder that says Stars Hide Your Fire. It's in that folder. Um, I say that to you, and you know how to find my Stars Hide Your Fire stuff.
Yeah, sure. Like that
Um,
just okay.
uh, Gen Z on average doesn't know how to do that because they're used to using like smartphones and tablets, um,
Okay.
where you don't organize files, you search and it pops up, or there's a button that automatically brings it to you. Um,
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
so I mentioned this while talking, and some of them were like, "Well, what do they mean? What do you mean by Gen Z?" 'Cause some of them are Gen Z,
Mm.
um, and I was like, "Okay, everyone under 25 is a child." So I'm just gonna specify that, and that's what I mean by children. My friend is teaching college.
Yeah. I mean, that's
But yeah, Varlet, it's like a Gen Z thing because they never had to do stuff like create a directory. That is
right.
why they don't know how that works.
Like
Um,
I had a similar situation back when I used to do childcare, and one of my kids was having a really hard time with the dictionary.
mhm.
Uh, to the point of like to the point of frustration of like and the rest of it I'm pretty sure you can guess how this goes where it's like it just became very clear that he did not know how to use a dictionary. And look, I'm not saying I'm not here to make fun of this kid because I love this kid, but also just like because it was just something that he was not trained to do of like, oh yeah, how do you look for words in a dictionary. Whereas in when we were growing up, even from as early age, it was just like, well, here's how you just look at it how the alphabet goes. Him at a later age was just like had not received that training, so like when asked
Because
and told
it's
to
with
use it,
if you have enough computers, you just type the word
you
in, and
just
the
don't have to.
dictionary
Yeah,
automatically pops it up.
exactly.
Um,
So yeah, you just don't think about it. So like yeah, no, I totally hear that. So um,
uh,
I mean, I think it kind of sounds similar to like when when I was a teenager, and some of my relatives would say, "Well, you have to know how to balance a checkbook." Now, at the time, just the terminology of to balance a checkbook didn't make any sense to me. Um, and sure, like once I opened up a bank account, and I was like, and I started doing online banking. Like I guess I kind of started seeing how that would have been done. But that's also like, okay, well, I think I would have been able to learn how to do that because it is just
It's just adding
adding
and
us.
subtracting.
Yeah, it's just adding and subtracting. But what really threw me off and made me subject of, I guess, I'll say object of ridicule, even for like, even though it's lighthearted, was that I wasn't understanding the words themselves of like, what is it to balance a checkbook? And like that was just like, I'm 17. It's yeah, maybe I should know that, but no one has ever shown me this. And then eventually I was like, oh, okay, so that's what that is. Gotcha. But yeah, it's just things that you don't think about it because they don't exist on your they just don't exist in your periphery.
Hmm.
So rescanning stuff. Boy,
Um, what's really funny is recently um, I was asked to fax a thing,
oh,
uh,
how did that go?
and um, the older lady in the office um, asked me how to use the fax machine because we all had to like fax this thing out. Um, and I was like, I don't know because I'm too young to know how a fax machine works, which made her laugh. So then we had to get someone that was between our ages to fax things.
I mean, I see that.
I hate anything that wants a fax. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, why? It's. I remember getting into a bit of an not altercation, but like a verbal discussion with someone who were they saying like, well, you have to fax this. I was like, can I just scan it and send you an email? And they were very insistent. I'm like, no, it has to be a fax. And I was just like, it's the 21st century. We have the technology. Why do you need this
I
fax? And I was
would
like, well, that's.
rather print something up and snail mail it than fax it.
I mean, I don't know I don't know how serious you are about that, but yeah, like that's how I feel. Um, Also, yeah. So, anywho, so, yeah, no, I hate it. Uh, really hate it. What is this? Okay, no, it's right after. So right now, what I'm doing, in case you're curious, is that I finished thumbnailing a book that I'm supposed to start penciling relatively soon. Um, so I thumbnailed everything, and the Monday after my wedding, because I got married this past weekend, and it was amazing. I was really happy. It was great. Anyways, the Monday after, I had a meeting with the writer for this book, and we were just kind of going over the thumbnails, just because, like I had some questions and things that I needed cleared up. So there were like he had some notes too, so we went over stuff. So I spent a good chunk of Monday and Tuesday just like tweaking some thumbnails. So now I'm just like rescanning them so he can take a look at them again and just rip. That's been my day.
I had a lot of fun talking with Sabrina at the wedding. That was a good table. I
Yeah,
liked that.
yeah. No, no, no. Like I knew that table was gonna be cool, so I was very
Also,
excited.
Kristen was like, I should be friends with Anna, but did not tell me I should be friends with H, who I ended up talking to way more.
Yeah, aren't they great?
Yeah, they have Buffy opinions, and so do I. And that was. I feel bad that, like, for everyone that sat in between us, because I was like, so Willow. Like, we sat down, and I was immediately like, so last night we were talking about Willow. Willow! And we're, like, shouting across the table.
Hang on, give me one quick. Apparently, Kristen wants to hear opinions, so I told her to go look at us on Twitch. Um,
Um, or Kristen could jump on the call. Like, is
I
talking about
mean,
Joss Whedon gonna get Kristen in trouble?
I don't know. Like, I guess I can ask her that, but she's on the other side of the room, and I mean, well, I guess I do wonder if we put her. Well, I guess if she puts on Twitch, she'll have headphones on, so that way it won't be creating this much of echo. I'm just wearing headphones, so I didn't want to interrupt that vibe. Um, but also, yeah, yeah, no, like like I said, I was very excited about that table, and I'm glad it worked out well, because yeah, like it's I forget, like I forget, like I mean, because I know that you and Sabrina have exchanged, but like, had y'all hang out in person, or was
We
this like the
hadn't
first time in a
hung
while?
out extensively in person. Like, we met once or twice at a con. I would love to
Gotcha.
hang out with Sabrina more.
I mean,
That's like
take a
move to
number.
LA, hang out with you in person. Other goal, moving to LA, hang out with Sabrina.
I mean, take a number because yeah, like it's a no. I mean, like look, both of them and them and their boyfriend Zach are fantastic people, and like it's a
Yeah.
and now where they were on the call, like I'll even make this public of like kudos. Like, yeah, Sabrina is awesome, but like kudos to Zach who was a huge blessing and help to me during last year when I was going through like the whole changing my birth
Mhm.
certificate thing. Yeah, like Zach was just freaking game, like so game.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But yeah, no, like it's a yeah. I thought that would be like a really cool table, and just it's
Yeah.
throwing in a bunch
I
of really
gave
cool.
Zach my potatoes because he was jokingly stealing Sabrina's potatoes. And I was like, well, these potatoes didn't have a mother, so I'm not that interested in eating them. And it seems like Zach is invested in these potatoes, so.
Yeah, shit,
Um,
that was very funny.
I also briefly talked to Zach Marcus, who I hadn't talked to in a while.
Oh,
Um,
oh yeah, because he was in Georgia for a while.
he no, he used to live with Becky and Frank in LA, so it's like whenever I visited Becky
Oh,
and Frank,
that's when you knew them
um,
from. Okay.
so we talked about how Becky and Frank are getting married soon.
What? Really?
I
Well,
mean, they've
hooray!
been legally married
They've
because
been
they had to for a while, but now they're having like an event.
gotcha. Well, that's cool. Good for them. Right on. How are they doing, by the way? Like, I haven't heard from them in a very
I
long
have
time.
also not talked to them in a very long time.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
know
well,
that they
Frank
are
and
getting married because they posted it on Facebook. Like, that's the extent of my knowledge about their lives.
Frank and Becky, you should be on this Twitch stream or at least listening to us, and you should come over and say hi because you are cool and good people. So, yes. Ooh. But no, yeah, like it's well, Kristen and I got back on Sunday night, and so after the wedding, we went on Sunday. We went like I think I already told you, like we went to the zoo, and on our way to the zoo, so little did we know that there was this huge event going on in Balboa Park. So just entering the zoo for parking took a little bit longer than anticipated. Um, and on our way there, we were just kind of thinking like we're a little tired of from yesterday, but we were just kind of thinking like, look, if we just go to the zoo for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever and just take a look around and then get out, like that's fine. Like I just want the experience of going into the zoo. Man, we got there. We were so excited. We saw so many cool things. A couple of snakes danced for us, and that was great. A couple of Gila monsters danced for us, and that was fantastic. We saw some of the cutest gators ever. Because I don't know if you know this, but I think Kristen is really into gators. Um, and
I
I
did notice that a thing that she's working on includes gators.
Yes, yes. So that's the thing that she's working on. So like, so I knew that she liked gators, but like, yeah, just having her at the zoo, pointing out all the cute ones. I was like, yeah, this is. So yeah, that was great. We saw some really cute gators. We saw some
So
really cute. We saw. I got to tell you this. We saw some flamingos getting into some sass. Like
good.
just two. Yeah, just like four flamingos just pecking at each other for what we're guessing might have been some food somewhere or something, but it was nasty. I like we should have pulled out our phones and recorded a type.
Okay, Joe.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Um,
Tell me.
this is off topic.
Okay, that's cool.
I am having trouble finding a tattoo artist that
Okay.
people recommend. And while Portland is filthy with tattoo artists, it seems like um just a no one really knows who's still in business and is good. Everyone who's like, "Oh yeah, this tattoo artist is great," they don't live in Portland.
Okay.
If I went to LA to get a tattoo,
Uh huh.
could I crash on you and Kristen's couch for like a weekend?
I'm pretty sure we can. I'm pretty sure we can arrange for that. Yeah, for sure. Like it's. I mean, like, it would just be a matter of when, just to make sure that we're in town.
Yeah. Or
But
maybe
like
while you're out of town, I could take care of your cats.
oh gosh, I mean, like, look, I like hanging out with you, but like that's I know that that would definitely be a huge a huge kudos for us. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can kind of mention, we can
Yeah.
do. It's funny
Because
you
I
say that
still
because like
have that tattoo by Cosby McNeil I never managed to get. Because the pandemic happened and
yeah, that giant crest thing
yeah.
that looks so cool. Yeah, that looks so cool.
And now
Um,
I'm like I have other tattoos I want, like a Wolfwalker tattoo.
nice. Yeah,
Um
I'm pretty sure we can figure that around. Like that shouldn't be like that should not be a concern. Speaking of which, like I'm now that the wedding is over and I seem to be moving along with some with work. I also want to make
mhm.
time to go get this tattoo that I've been wanting for a while. So I'm also kind of jumping on that track. So and and I kind of noticed like you know what this is just one of those things where like it's the more you keep putting it off, the less likely it is going to happen. And usually I like to like as someone who also likes to uh okay like it's this is gonna feel I'm gonna sound a little pretentious, but you know what? It's something that I believe in. So I like going to blood drives
Mhm.
and to donate platelets and plasma.
Mhm.
Um, but like one of the questions there is always like if you get a tattoo, you have to wait 3 months before you can donate again. Now 3 months doesn't sound that much, but like again, depending on when I have time, it can be significant. So I often try to make sure that if I if I am to get a tattoo, that it can be in between times. Because the thing about donating platelets is that it's such a long process that I only do it if I'm like not super busy
Mhm.
or if I'm in a stage of work where I can take where like oh yeah I'm supposed to be reading a script, well then you know what, then being 2.5 hours on a bus it's not a bad idea because I can read on the bus, and
Mhm.
little things like that. But when I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be thumbnailing pages or penciling pages, like I'm not going anywhere. So anywho,
Uh I
but
talked to Blue and Mel and Ben Wilgus today, and we
cool.
talked
How
about
did
javelinas.
Javelinas. What is javelinas?
They are wild pigs that live in Arizona.
Oh, okay. It's yeah. Oh, how do you say it again?
I was probably saying it a lot wrong.
No,
Javelinas.
no. No, no, like I mean, like yeah, like I mean, it sounds like they're kind of like wild boars, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so it's a so in Spanish we call them jabalís. But like yeah, like
Okay.
I just had and yeah, and I guess the plural is jabalines. So yeah, no, like that's a wow. I think I've never heard that pronounced that way. I always just refer to them
That's
as
how Meredith was saying them when we talked about them last I talked.
that makes
People
sense. I
in
mean,
Twitch, here are the beautiful wild pigs I'm referring to. Um, Look at the little babies. So
oh,
cute.
look at those cuties. Okay, so
There.
here's the thing. Like, I'm guessing that those I'm guessing that Meredith was referring to those as like jabalís just being a specific type. Whereas then
Maybe?
if I'm if yeah, like whereas if I'm remembering correct, and like I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, we use that term for any type of wild pig or any kind of wild boar.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's just what they call that particular type. Did that make sense? I hope that made
Yeah.
sense. Okay, great.
Um, so
It's
like, and Meredith McLaren and I were talking about them because we're gonna do that werewolf comic together.
gotcha. Yeah.
And it's set in Arizona, so it starts with some javelinas getting it.
Hmm.
Um, and the news is like, keep your pets inside because coyotes are roaming, and we know that because of the dead javelinas.
Hmm.
Um, and the debate that one thing I was asking Meredith is, could coyotes take javelinas out? Like, how plausible is that? And us debating it led to, well, I'm going to use this as dialogue, as some old dudes arguing about who would win, coyote or a javelina.
I mean,
Um,
that's a really good take, actually. It's that seems very believable to me.
so yeah, it's going to be like the news reports coyotes ate the javelinas, and the guys are like, nah. One of them is
Oh,
like, nah, the pigs would rip those coyotes apart or whatever.
so I
Um,
have a question that you may definitely know the answer to.
mm-hmm.
Are coyotes pack animals, or or are they
Sometimes,
loners? Sometimes,
usually
okay,
they're loners. Like,
okay.
so this is the thing is, coyotes are really good at hiding. So if you see
Mm-hmm.
one coyote, there might be secretly three other coyotes.
Gotcha. Okay. Good.
But like the with wolf packs, like the pack unit is just the family. So like it's just, when do kids move out of mom and dad's house? Is the
Okay.
question. And they're more prone to do that than wolves are. To go find their own food. Um, but they are still occasionally packs if they're like young-ish, like not quite fully grown.
Mm. Okay. Yeah,
But
because I mean,
they,
like, because again, like, because look, I live in Glendale, close to mountains. We get a lot of I mean, we have a lot of possums and coyotes and whatnot. And look, I've even lived in like the mountain, like the mountainous region, some of the mountainous regions of Los Angeles, even though they're still very suburban-y. But anyways, all this to say that like I've seen coyotes, but I've never
mm-hmm.
seen packs of coyotes. Like I've always seen coyotes
Yeah,
by
they aren't
themselves.
like packs the way we think of them. Like, because with wolves, you always see them with a big group.
Right.
Um,
So yeah, but like, and that's the thing of like that's kind of what I was thinking, where it's like, yeah, I mean, like, I guess there is kind of like
so
an
they're
image
like
of
a sometimes pack animal.
gotcha. Yeah, and like, I mean, and I guess that's just always thought like, yeah, I thought that canines were pack animals for the most part, but like that doesn't really. I mean, again, like it's just something like, look, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean blah blah blah. Anyways, but I figured, you know what, this is just something that I don't know, so
It's also uh they're coyotes in New England are more likely to pack up
Mm.
than southwestern coyotes, because coyotes um, um, are filling the niche that wolves used to fill in a lot of places where wolves have died out.
Mm.
So it's
Same.
like they're getting bigger. So a New England coyote is on average bigger than a southwestern coyote because they evolved to get bigger to kill deer. Um, and then they are also more likely to be in packs for that same reason. But they can. Varlet is saying if you have golf courses or woods nearby, there's a good chance you'll see a whole bunch of coyotes together.
Okay.
Um, um, and MT Bade is saying we live right on the edge of a nature preserve and we see them running along the hill behind the house all the time, but usually in ones or twos. And so yeah, so it's kind of like it's not as often as wolves, but they do it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I just, I was left with that ponder of like, how do they do it? Here we go.
And that's also because in the Southwest, their prey would mostly be smaller creatures, so they don't need a pack to take it out.
Right.
Have you seen the coyote in the subway?
The coyote in the subway. No, what is this?
Oh no, it's just very frequently coyotes get on the Chicago subway,
Oh,
or
just
they hang
hanging.
out at coyote sandwich shops. Just stroll on in. Um,
Coming in like they own the place or something.
yeah, here we go. Coyote hanging out on the subway because it's
Oh,
Friday.
hang on, hang on. Oh, that is not Photoshop. That is just like a coyote just
He's just
hanging out.
hanging out. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Well, good for the
warmer in
coyote.
the subway, so he's hanging out there.
I mean, I guess if he's just hanging out or she's just hanging out, like, I mean, they're not threatening or anything, so I guess it's fine. Why
Um,
not?
there are MT Blade is saying there are feral dogs in Moscow that have learned how to use the metro.
That's funny.
Has everyone here seen domesticated foxes and how adorable they are?
I mean, you're asking the chat that, right?
Yes. Have you seen them, Joe?
I am not, and I would love to. Let me
Okay, so
just finish.
basically, it was a Russian experiment um, on domestication. And so it was a fur farm. And what they would do is they would take the calmest um, fox on the fur farm and breed it together with um, uh, even more calm domesticated, so they just kept breeding the calmest uh, foxes together over and over again. And they accidentally discovered that through domestication, animals keep juvenile traits more. So
Okay.
here's a picture of a domesticated silver fox.
Hang on. Okay. Oh! look at that cutie.
Here's another one. So they have like those patches that you see like in old the older dog breeds, like different types of shepherding dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz they found out that like floppy ears, spots, and curly tails are connected to domestication. So like whatever like gene decreases their chemical levels affects um, their coat and a bunch of other things and makes them like permanently juveniles. So it made the foxes useless for the fur industry because now they're not one color. Um,
Right.
so after the USSR fell, to keep funding, they just sell one or two of the males for like 10K each. And that like funded it to keep going. But yeah, they're very cute.
They are.
But I do think it's interesting that like domestication made them like get spots and floppy ears.
Yeah. I mean, like it's. Um. I mean, I know that I could make some assumptions as into why those traits in particular, but I mean, like, is there any like, I guess, expert wording as into why that is?
I don't know. Like, I would have to read more about the report. MT Bait is saying the uh, the whole so the basically um, they're not great pets because they still have like a secretion gland thing. Um, like for marking their territory, so they're like smelly. They pee everywhere.
Okay.
Um, and which is a thing that like ferrets do too. I've
Mm.
heard. Um, and then they're like someone described them as a combination of cats and dogs because they're really good at getting into shit. Like I remember there was an interview with a guy who had one, and he was like, "Yeah, we had to get child locks for all our drawers and stuff, because otherwise they'll get in there and eat all their food before they're supposed to."
Fucking troublemakers.
Yeah.
Do you know why ferrets are not? Why it's illegal to own ferrets in California?
It's because technically they're like not fully domesticated, so they count as like an exotic pet.
Mm.
Um, uh, but um, yeah, and same with axolotls.
I don't think I know what that is. What's an axolotl?
Axolotls are very cute, and you should Google them.
Oh, those. Okay, yes, yes. Type of fish,
Yeah,
right? It was like an amphibian.
yeah, he's like a newt.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. They look like they're super smiling.
And they're apparently the mascot for asexuality.
Right on. How did that decision come about? Because I think it's a great
Because
one.
they reproduce asexually.
Gotcha.
Um, Personally, I would have thought a panda would have been a better choice because pandas like eating better than sex, but I don't get a vote because I'm not asexual. So
I mean, I mean, um, I mean the line of comparing humans to animals is already one that is like, I mean, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. So yeah, whomever is in that community making those decisions,
I
I say
mean,
more
they're
power to you.
both cute,
Yes,
and would
that's true.
both work.
That's true. And
Um,
and I'm still shocked to this day that one like the panda is not a bear, but it's
nope, they're giant raccoons.
just giant raccoons. Speaking of which, like it's a there are no pandas at the San Diego Zoo anymore. They gave them back. Uh, the areas are still called the Panda area or Panda
Well, I
Gardens,
thought they
but
were
like,
getting red pandas.
yep, they have a lot more red pandas now. We saw like 3 or 4 of those.
Red
Cute
pandas
as
are
all
super
hell.
cute. Yeah.
Yes, yes, they are. I did kind of kept wondering of like, are red pandas about to get even more popular because of this Disney
Oh,
movie?
they already are.
Yeah,
Though,
they are. Okay.
a friend was telling me that their nephew doesn't think red pandas are real
Ah, okay.
because it's a Disney movie and people turned into them. So clearly they're a magical made up animal and they're not real.
Kind of like frogs. Anyways, um, or bears. Uh, clearly, this kid is not familiar with Disney. God, that's such a
No,
jerk thing to say. I'm so sorry. It's anyways.
it
Yeah. Wow. I mean,
this
look.
5-year old is certain that red pandas aren't real.
Oh, okay.
Um
Did not know this kid was 5. Number one. Number two. Also, I mean, like those red pandas are huge, and red
they're
pandas are. Yeah.
they're too cute to be real.
I mean, um, well, like yeah, because I mean, the last time that we got a red panda in media was in the panda
Kung
franchise,
Fu
and
Panda, yeah.
like Shifu, I think was his name, was a bit of a jerk and didn't really. I mean, also didn't really look that cute, but yeah, but like um, yeah, I can understand if something is being associated with a fantasy, then it's less likely to be taken serious. But yeah, just once more,
I
did not know
mean,
this kid was 5. Not trying to be a smartass
them and
about it.
horses. Horses also aren't real.
Horses are not real. Those are made up
They're
creatures.
fake. Horses are fake.
And it's about as fake as a platypus. Boy.
I love the H bombs running joke on his videos that horses aren't real.
I mean, that just sounds like fact. Right?
It started because it was in his climate change video, and he's like, good. Like, it turns out, like, even though everyone tells you something, like, and they have facts to back it up, you can just tell them that that's not true, and it will make it not true, which is great because I can now acknowledge that horses aren't real. So,
I mean,
comparing
that remind.
climate change denial to denying horses' existence.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, there was that person for a while where that was saying that birds are fake. That was also a meme running around for a while. It's a very dangerous one, but like it's what happened. Um, the other thing that it's I mean I'm remembering the opposite of listening to that This American Life story of of this girl who didn't know that unicorns were not real. Um, and like when I listened to her argument, I'm like, I mean, I guess I see where you're coming from,
I
because
mean, there are plenty of creatures that have random horns on their head. So I
right,
feel
exactly,
like it is not too far for kids
right,
to be like, horses are completely reasonable. Like,
yeah,
if they're told
yeah,
that
unicorns,
dinosaurs used to exist, dinosaurs
right,
seem far more implausible.
That's exactly the example that they give, and it's one that I find compelling for sure because it's like, yeah, I mean, like it's yeah, like if you explain to me what a dinosaur is, I'm like, okay, I mean, like I'll believe you because you're a scientist. But like, all right, I think I've said this on the internet before, but I'm just gonna make it clear. And yes, this is subject of ridicule, but that's fine. When I first heard about the jackalope, I
You
did
thought
think
it
it was
was
a real
real?
animal. Yeah, of course, because I mean, like it's like I've seen other animals with weird, like I've seen weirder animals than a jackalope.
Yeah.
So if someone tells you like, yeah, there's a type of rabbit that has horns, I'm like, yeah, that sounds real. Like that sounds possible. Like, and then it wasn't until someone was like, no, Joe, that's not like sure, because I've seen the depictions and I've seen what like I've seen taxidermies of it. It's like, yeah, no, no, that's not a real thing. Like, oh, like okay, well, I mean, I'll believe you, but yeah, here's this
Were
creature that
you
I
the
haven't.
one who had the friend that used to think that orange juice came out of breasts?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that was a friend of mine. That is a childhood friend, and that was a childhood belief. Um,
That was
and
like because we were comparing dumb shit that we believed as a kid. Um,
uh, yeah,
like it
like
makes
here's an
perfect sense kid logic wise is
right,
there are two boobs and if the baby gets milk from one, that's one breakfast thing you drink and the other is orange juice.
right. I mean,
So
like yeah,
like
yeah. 'Cause I mean, like if you're a kid and you're growing up watching of like, oh yeah, kids get breast milk, and then you're watching someone be like, oh, for breakfast you're having milk and orange juice. Like yeah, you just make that assumption of like, well, there's two of those, and there's two of those, so clearly one of them must be for this and for the other. So yeah, I mean, that's
I loved hearing
uh,
those like dumb things that
o-
we believed as kids. Like
okay. Well, here's one for you. I'll tell you. Like, this is a wow. This is a woozy for me. As a child, again, we're talking 4 or 5 year olds. Um, I did believe that it was possible that there is such thing as a rock factory. Yeah, there you go. That's something that I bet you never knew about me.
do you
That's
know about the cheese caves?
I do not know about the cheese caves.
The cheese caves are something that sounds made up, but is actually real. Um,
Oh,
and
are these like is this because like they did so much cheese that they put them underground or something?
yes, basically.
Yes, yes, I have heard about that. But can you
Um,
like I don't know that much
it's
about it, but
it's
like
it's basically like I when I first found out about them, it was someone responding to like some European being smug, like Americans don't even have real cheese and showing like craft singles.
hmm
Um, and then it's like, no, Americans have so much cheese that we have filled entire caves with cheese.
right.
Um, and we don't even know what to do with it because we just have so much fucking cheese. Um, and they want to keep the cheese cheap. Um, so, and avoid like a crisis. Like, they don't want the dairy farmers to like suddenly go broke because cheese costs like nothing because we have so much of it. So like the price of cheese is artificially stabilized and we just keep the extra cheese in caves in Kansas because we'll get to it eventually. Like and it's just in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Um
I think that we have kind of talked a little bit of like it's like there's again like when you say it like that, there is an element of like this is a conspiracy theory and I'm not gonna listen to your nonsense, but they're like, well, yes,
it's just a cave full of cheese.
it's just a
Um
cave full of cheese. Yeah, it's yeah. So yeah, like
And then MT Blade is saying jackrabbits can develop lumpy horn like growths on their head, but it is a viral induced cancer. And Joe, if you haven't seen pictures of these rabbits, they look like they have Cthulhu faces. Um,
no, I have not seen this, but like it's a like how do I look for this? Rabbit with
um,
horns or something?
um, I think if you Google Cthulhu rabbits, they might
Oh,
pop up.
okay. That's um just the type of words that I want. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot
I'm
of
getting a lot of
illustrations.
fan art.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
seeing a lot of illustrations, so
No,
not a
that did
whole.
not work.
I mean, you know what? I'll just like one of the saddest
Rabbit
sentences.
virus makes them look like
Rabbits with cancer? Like it's
Cthulhu.
what HPV-ridden rabbits can? Okay. Oh, okay. I found one that is pretty intense. I don't know if this is real or not. Um, here's a HPV-ridden rabbit. Hmm, that's very scary and disturbing. Shope papillomavirus. Oh gosh. Okay, there's a rabbit with some papilloma. That also is disturbing. Um,
Yeah, it's the show papilloma virus makes them look like they got horns or tentacles coming out of their head.
yeah, it can also be out of their shin and I'm sorry, out of their chin, and yeah, it's disturbing.
Yes.
I'm looking at some of these pictures right now. Papilloma.
I will spare the stream from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the rabbits.
don't.
I will share the cute foxes and pigs,
Show the
but I
cue.
will
Like the
not
rest of it, like
share the um, horribly mutated rabbits.
yeah, no, it's well, someone on the chat already shared it on a Wikipedia article and it's like,
Yeah,
look,
but
it's
people don't have to click that, so
yeah, so like it's that's on your own time. Like I don't, it's not a pretty picture, and it's um especially knowing that it's like that's a creature with an illness. Like that's um, but yeah, so
so
anywho,
that's real, but unicorns aren't.
but unicorns are. Nobody, please, nobody go on to looking for horses with papilloma because that's just gonna be, uh, yeah, no, like no, empty blade. You're correct. But like, yeah, but looking at those, you can, yeah, of course, like that's the thing of like it's. I mean, this is like a college conversation that I remember having when someone did kind of point out of like yeah, if if you're if you know if you're hanging out in the woods in the 12th century and you see just a creature with a particular mutation or an illness, then yeah, if you don't know the scientific explanation for it, then it is most likely for you to just come up with something of like, well, that's a mythical creature right there. And I remember the example someone said of like there was a doe or there was a deer, I'm sorry, that had only one horn. So I was like, yeah, it's rather than just being like, well, that's clearly a
Well, the
deficiency or
theory that people had is so there's a because really old drawings of unicorns they kind of have goat feet rather than
Mhm,
and goat tails rather than horse hoofs.
mhm,
So
mhm.
the theory is there's a type of like goat in Eurasia whose horns are very close together. So in a lot
Mm,
of perspective, it looks like it has one horn.
gotcha.
Um, so a
So
lot there was a lot of theory that like they think that like might have made people think it was a unicorn.
that's true, and I mean, like, yeah, I can definitely believe that. I also am just like, this kind of sounds like that. This may come across a little dismissive, but I swear I don't mean it that way. I'm also, I want to add just like another perspective, which is just like, I don't think it's that far reach that a lot of people were just like, it would just come so easy for people to mix animals in order
Mm-hmm.
to enhance some form of storytelling. And I mean, like, and you see that across multiple cultures, and you have all sorts of chimeras or like all sorts of creature designs, whether it's for reinforcing a belief or some form of social order or something along those lines. And it just makes sense of like, hey, you know what would make this animal cooler if it had these other parts or if it had this thing. And I mean, again, like Kristen and I just spent the day at the zoo, so we were kind of looking at a lot of animals. We're like, oh yeah, there's like some zebra markings on this type of yak, or here's this weird, here's this type of other desert animal, but that has like these traits. And like a lot of them are like, sure, nature is amazing in its own ways, but I also don't think it's that far fetched for like for way older generations, and I'm talking like thousands of years ago, just being like, yeah, like what and if this creature had wings, it would be even more scary. Or like Yeah, and that's how you ended up with a mythological
Well, and
creature.
so I think that's why people like point to the goat thing that I
Hmm.
mentioned being the inspiration for unicorns, because unicorns are a little bit unique in that they aren't really a bunch of animals stuck together
Hmm.
like a griffin or a pegasus or something. Um, and so, because there is a more plausible explanation on what people maybe thought it was,
Ah, okay.
um,
I see what you're saying. Yes. Okay. No,
yeah,
yeah.
like no
Yes.
one says like oh, this real creature inspired a griffin. They
Right.
focus on the unicorn because like the unicorn sounds like it could be real in that kid's defense. Like,
Right. Right. Yeah. It's
and so
yeah,
yeah,
for
so
sure.
it's like that goat in particular like could very much like um
I have a question.
yeah.
Um, does the Capricorn show up in any stories, or is that just like a specific zodiac thing?
There is a story for the Capricorn.
There is a story for the Capricorn. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know that, but just because like because again, yeah, like that's also like a very specific design or like a very
Yeah.
specific type of creature that I just yeah I did not know. If, yeah, I've never heard any stories of the Capricorns themselves. Like so yeah, okay, cool. All right. Well, that answers that question. Oh yeah, finished. Oh, shit. You know what feels nice? Getting things off of your to-do list. Taken out. It's hey. Said and done. Ugh. Oh. Do, 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 do. This Sunday, Kristen and I get to go see the Bob's Burgers movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very curious about it because I don't know what to expect. Uh, I like Bob's Burgers. I've seen a few episodes, and I think it's great. Um, I'm also often surprised by how long it's been going. Um, and
Yeah.
so yeah,
It's still
so
really good too. Like
cool, good, good. Yeah, I just like I have no idea what
I
to expect out of
I didn't know that there was a movie, but I've
yeah.
been watching the show still.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like I saw some advertisement for it a few weeks back, and was kind of curious just because like it just seems to be going wild. Um, and yeah, like, I mean, I have no idea what to expect out of this movie, but no, yeah, we're gonna go check it out on Sunday. And, I don't know when it officially comes out. Like, I think I don't know if it has like, let me see when its actual release is. It is set to be released. Release date is May 27th. So comes out next month. So
Cool.
yeah. We live in LA, so there's like screenings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We get special treatment because we're
You
a city.
butts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, it's I remember when I first got to LA, and Will and I were kind of hanging around this Burbank area, um, and we were very surprised just like to see that there were people sending us up, being like, "Hey, you want to come to a free to a free screening of this movie?" And we're like, "Oh my God, a free movie, totally!" Little did we know, right? But then eventually we later found out, I was like, "Oh, it's a test screening." So the movie is not, not in its best shape just
So you
yet.
can tell them that they need to add more dong.
Yes, you could. Yeah, I mean, like that would have been a great note for. It needs
Uh,
more.
that's an Always Sunny episode. Is uh they're the test screening for the sequel to a movie series they really like. Um, and they're very upset by it. Because there's no dong. Gotta
I
get
mean,
the dong in there.
yeah, I mean, like that tends to make a movie better. It's definitely more fun that way. Mm. I'm at this point right now where like, okay, I think I'm technically done working for the day. Like I just finished scanning and I just finished adding all the new scans and new thumbnails onto the files. So like, wow, I think I'm actually done for today. So like my next step is to
I'm mostly done. Why don't you take a look and tell me what you think?
how's it looking? Ooh, that's looking nice. Is this You're the Chosen One pages?
Yeah.
Great. Cool, cool. Are those swords crashing
Yes.
together?
Yes.
Great. I think that you would also need just like an additional. So you see how it when where the swords are cracked. Can you zoom into? Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sound effect. Yeah, sorry, I was only seeing half of the panel, and I was seeing like your impact lines. I was like, that looks like you could use a few more. Then, oh, it's that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a scene change.
Yep.
Right on. Um, this is probably like, um, so I received feedback for one of the books that I'm working on. I received
Mhm.
feedback, and all the feedback was both, was pretty good, and there were definitely some parts where like I was kind of where, yeah, it's all the feedback was very good, and everything that I was kind of receiving, I was just like, okay, yeah, like it's the few things that I kind of figured that like, oh, that I did that I figured were very good calls for me to make changes to. Um,
Mhm.
I was kind of put in a position where I was like, oh man, does this mean rewriting a whole lot, which means rethumbing and repenciling a whole lot of the book? But a lot of the notes that I got was like, oh, that's an easy dialogue change. Like that's just like I can sort that out. Um, no problem. Um, except for like there was this one note that was also very good, and I just kept thinking like, geez, how do I go about this? So I proposed an idea that I feel like I did a really good job of like instead of changing an entire scene, I just had to make one other section that would happen later. Going from instead of happening in one page, it would happen in 3 pages. I was like, okay, that's and that was agreed upon. So right on time, I figure like great. That just means that I don't have to change it that much. So that's positive. But there's definitely a moment there where I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to rewrite a whole lot and rethumb and repencil stuff. I was like, no, wait, this has a solution. I just need to think about it a little more, and great. That's problems solved. Wait, how do you go about getting editorial notes for like for the stuff that you work for yourself?
Usually I pay Jay to do it. Or if
Okay,
Jay's busy, I just suck it up and don't get notes.
yeah, that's fair.
Everyone's
How
too
much?
busy.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask you, like, it's a do you and Jay work on a particular time frame, or like how, like, what's the
Jay's been
back and
super
forth?
busy, so Jay hasn't actually looked at my scripts since Fame and Misfortune. So it's been a while.
Yeah, that was 2015.
I hired Jim Gibbons to review The Dead Deception.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's um, yeah, usually just hire people, but I didn't have time to have anyone look over Murky Water.
Okay.
Um, I think Kevin beta read it, but like I didn't have an editor go over it.
Hmm.
So you know, I have Kevin's note that Maria's a fascist. But
I mean,
I mean, she is a cop, so
she's a cop, so like it's so I mean, like
yeah.
you already had that inclination going in, so like that's it's not exactly an intense editorial note of like what to change about it. So.
There was like a discussion about like how sympathetic is Maria coming off in certain scenes,
Mm.
where she is ending up agreeing more with the like demon hunting murderers. So um, Kevin's note jokingly noting, and in this scene, Maria decides that racism is good, actually.
You know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna start thumbnailing something, so I might as well draw my templates. The fun times of
Fun
comic making.
times all
For
around.
anyone in the chat, when you it's these are the things that if I were to work digitally, this is for anyone who works digitally. What I'm about to do sounds like an incredible waste of time. So basically, what I'm doing is just like how it sounds. Like I'm just doing the templates of what a page would look like for my thumbnails. So I'm just drawing rectangles, and that's it.
I do my thumbnails traditionally still, and you know what I did, Joe? I made a template that I print up and then thumbnail on.
See, you mentioned the keyword right there. What do you do with your template?
I print them up
Yeah, that's what's
because
missing in my life.
it's just squares. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, um, like my printer scanner is really cool, but for some like once I ran out of like magenta ink and I could no longer print black and white, so I was like, you know what? No, I'm not giving you the satisfaction. So, uh, I'm in a fight. I'm in a petty fight with no one about just going to put more ink cartridges for not printing anything, and this bites me because sometimes I wouldn't be a bad idea to print out tickets to events or other things that I don't want on my phone. Um, because we live in a world where they tell you like, well, if you want to access this, you have to download the app, and I said I hate you. Um,
We live in a society, Joe.
that's true. It's just like I just don't understand why this society has to be,
And,
exceptionally
and
connected
and
to
this
the.
is how you became the Joker.
And this is how, yeah,
And then
this
I
is how
became
I
the Joker.
just, uh, yeah, no, mm, mm. Don't like it. Do not want this. Um, I'll tell you this one. Cause I hate downloading apps. I hate having apps. I don't want any more apps on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Petco to buy cat food. And
And they
the
were like, buy
person,
this app to buy cat food.
well, not even that. Like they told me, like, oh, if you download this app, your eighth bag of cat food is free. And I said, okay. And as soon as I was like, no, thank you. Like I much rather give you $26 than download your app. So no, a free bag of cat food is not convincing enough to have an app on my phone. And that was a real thinker because like I mean, who turns down a bag of a free cat food? And then I just thought, and again, I know that I should be wearing a tinfoil hat when I say this. Like, I'm willing to bet that for Petco, access to my information or access to my data is far more valuable than a bag of cat food.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I should take a page from their book and just think like, okay, so I understand what it costs me to buy a bag of cat food from you, but maybe I should value my data information from you
Well, you
just
see,
at a
the
little.
joke's on you, Joe. They already have your data. They bought it from
That's true.
Google.
That's true. But I also don't have their app, so I get to like so yeah. Jokes on me. They already have it, but I just don't get to. They just don't get to have it more, I guess. So it was just that little bit of like, no, you don't, no, no, no. As a cartoonist, it's always good to be reminded of the value of saying no to things, even if it's something as goofy and unnecessary as an app for the cat food that I buy. Nope. Oh.
I wish I had more time in a day, so I could make my comics faster and get them out to the people.
Well, that's the thing about this resource we call time. Is that like that is the one resource that industrialization has not been able to conquer. The day
Mm-hmm.
only has 24 hours.
Oh, you want to know what I introduced Bones to while we were hanging out at your wedding?
I'm pretty sure it's something awesome. What did you introduce us to?
Skip intro.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Bones really liked his Spooky Cops TM.
How does he say it? Trademark pending.
Yeah, trademark pending. Spooky
Yes.
Cops.
Spooky cops. Trademark pending. Yes.
So we watched how the MCU is a TV show.
The entire
Um,
MCU.
well, so
Yeah.
like, cause his propaganda video about the MCU is all about like, American exceptionalism and, but since his whole channel only talks about, um, TV shows, he's like, um, if I can convince you of one thing, it's that the MCU is a TV show. Because it's an ongoing narrative where you get bits and pieces, and there are seasons. Sure, they call them phases, but really they're seasons.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and so it's in between all of his the MCU is promoting propaganda. He keeps going back to, but if you take one thing away from my video, it's that the MCU is a TV show. Um, but yeah. So we watched that one, and then we watched the Spooky Cops one, uh, and then we watched the Succession is actually about climate change video.
That's a really good one. I really like that one.
Yeah.
I watched it. I watched both his videos on Jon Stewart, and I thought they were. I think I told you this already. Where it's like I thought it was like a really interesting take, and it put a lot of things in perspective for me. Of like, yeah, just kind of where things
Cause
were,
you could never get into Jon Stewart, right?
yeah, like I had a hard time getting into Jon Stewart, and like I didn't really like. I mean, I don't think I was smarter or anything about it, but like I just kind of had a hard time figuring out like why I couldn't get into his stuff, or I couldn't get into like the Daily Show at the time. Um, but yeah, like it's the skip intro video, like, and again, both for better and for worse. And I mean, like now this is just an advertisement for those videos. Go check them out if you can, because they're very good. But yeah, like the skip intro guy kind of gets at a couple of things that are both very interesting and very insightful, and just like pointing out a fair critique of like here's where it falls short, but also here's where what it was doing at the time is very significant. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's yeah, like that's a great way to that's a great way to retroactively view media criticism at large.
Yeah.
And just yeah, like recognizing like at the time this was unique, but also like with
And
everything, even right now, there's blind spots.
I think like I fell off the Daily Show around the time like a lot of the correspondents got their own shows.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the Nightly Show, and I was kind of bummed that that got canceled.
Mm.
Because I
Wait, which
liked
one?
his um
Which one was
his
that
sort
one?
of that was the one. I forget who he was, but he was frequently senior black correspondent.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, and because I liked that he did like sort of a discussion panel about the topic, which seems like Jon Stewart stole that idea. But
Right.
because when he was, I haven't seen the new Jon Stewart show, but it seems like so that sort of panel discussion. Um,
Right.
that was what like the Nightly Show did. Like it did its sort of review of the news, and then did like a panel discussion on a topic.
Yeah.
And then what's also funny is like to lighten up the panel discussion is occasionally, so at the end he would do keep it 100 or you weak tea. Um, and so I remember um, the two I remember is he had Martin Short on, and he says you have to launch one of the three amigos into a rocket into the sun. Who do you pick? Chevy Chase or
Chase,
Steve
yeah.
Martin? And he's like, I'm not answering that. And he's like, come on, we already know what you would say. Say it on air. And then Martin Short doesn't answer, so he goes, weak tea, and he like throws tea bags at him. And then the funny thing is, and then the other funny one I remember is he had Lance Bass on right after Lance Bass was not rich enough to pay to be his way into being an astronaut.
Oh, is that so? That's what happened. Okay.
Yeah, like because at the time, like celebrities could pay to go through all the astronaut training. Like rich people could pay to go through all the astronaut training,
Mm.
and be sent up in a space shuttle with other trained astronauts.
Right.
And so Lance Bass failed to be rich enough to go into space. And he was asked, Chick-fil-A knocks on your door and says they'll pay for your space trip. Do you take the money or not?
No.
Well, Lance Bass says Yes, because being the first openly gay man in space is more important than hate chicken. So he's like, I'd go down in history as the first openly gay man in space. And that's
I
going to
mean,
outlast anything that Chick-fil-A's going to do.
you know what? If that's his answer, respect.
And
That's
so he
cool.
got keep it 100 because he was being completely
Yeah,
honest.
that is being completely honest. Like it's
He's like,
yeah.
yes, because I want to. Then I'd be historically the first openly gay man in space. Yeah.
Whew, that is
And I just like that they referred to Chick-fil-A as hate chicken.
because it is. Like
It
it's
is, but
it is. It's
it
yeah.
is just so like succinctly put.
Right. Yeah. No. It's so blatant. It's just so it's so on the spot. If you will. Whew. Oh, Orpheus says hello. By the way,
Yeah, it was
we got
nice
to,
talking to him.
yeah.
Uh,
We got to hang out at the library yesterday. Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
fun to talk about how his job is going with the
I don't know if it's been announced. So
Okay, then I won't say it. But
yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Let's
and
say
then the individual that maybe shouldn't have gotten that job.
right. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I don't think it's been announced. So let's
yeah,
not put this on the internet right now. But yeah, it's yeah. There's anyways, he was just giving me more a little bit more updates on that. But no, yeah. So uh, I keep trying to push to do his own stuff. And he really wants to. I mean, like he really wants to go in that direction.
but he also likes money.
But he
So
also likes money, which I completely understand. I mean, like it's and um, I keep trying to tell him like I think you make good money doing these things anyways. Because I mean, like, it sounds like I'm putting him on blast, but like I just want to tell everyone that like I think very fondly of Orpheus, and he's great, and he's a really cool dude. But yeah, he does kind of have that thing of like he wants the money, but he wants the money from both. Well, he wants the money from as many revenues as possible, and I think that sometimes that also comes at the expense of him being able to do his own stuff. Whereas, I keep telling him like, look, if you can just get enough money from these other places, enough for you to still have time to do your own stuff, that'd be kind of cool. And he's like, yeah, that's actually a really good idea, and I should do that. It's like, well, yeah. I'm just like, but I want the money. I was like, well, then then go you. I mean, so yeah. Anywho, yeah, and anyways, he says hello. And,
well, cool. I say hello to him as well.
yeah,
He's a cool dude.
yeah, yeah, he is, and yeah, boy, yeah, we're just catching up with a bunch of on a bunch of stuff. Um, but- Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Man, I've drawn almost 100 pages of this comic so far.
Whoop whoop. Is that enough for our first volume?
No.
No, it's the first volume is 200, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, in the immortal wars of Bon Jovi, you're halfway there.
Living on a prayer.
fucking hope.
But I'm not even halfway there. I'm like an eighth of the way through the whole thing.
I mean, for one step at a time. I was specifically focusing on the first volume because
Yeah.
that was because that's kind of an angle that you have, right? Like if you make the first volume and you can kind of that would make it easier to take it to publishers, right?
I was thinking the first 8 chapters to give them like options on what to publish and how.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Uh, because chapter 4 doesn't end super exciting. Chapter 8 has a better, like, exciting ending bit. Like, as far as cliffhangers. And making people want to grab the next volume.
Mm.
And the, so it's like that might be a better end of the first volume, but that's also, like, a really thick book. So I don't know. Also, it's hard to tell if people actually like the story or not.
This one?
Yeah, because it's for my Patreon, and a lot of people back my Patreon because they want to just support me. And then so it's hard to tell how many people back just for that or how many people backed for City
You're
Between stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Like I said, is there a way for you? I mean, would you be interested in trying to find that metric? Actually, like, I mean, like that.
Well,
That's.
so the thing is the first goal of my Patreon is if I get to 1,200 a month, one of these comics will update more, and the Patreon will vote. And I feel like that's when I'll find out.
Okay. I mean, I get, yeah, like I don't know, like it's. I mean, this is nothing that I haven't sent to you before already, but I mean, like, just like the premise of of You're the Chosen One is just so fucking brilliant that it's
Yeah, but
like.
it starts kind of slow, so I feel like that might be why people don't dig it.
I mean, but okay, so but even if that is true, I mean, I don't know, like I guess my perspective would be different if I didn't know that it's going to be long, but because I'm even before you told me the entire thing, um, even knowing how it ends and yada yada yada, I think that just having a sense of the scope of the story that you're telling makes it more. It gave me like the understanding of like, well, yeah, of course it's gonna start slow, like it's and that's just the build up, but it's going somewhere. Like it there is like this whole thing to tackle. Also, I mean, you introduce so many characters right off the bat that yeah, it only makes sense that you're going to be following them at its own pace. So I don't know. Like I kind of have I have a hard time thinking that someone wouldn't be understanding to that. You know, even if just because you have been like so upfront from the very get go of like, oh, this is about these. I forget the number. How many is it? 27?
There's 23.
23. So yeah, it's 23. It's 23 characters that you're following, and that's just quote unquote main characters, for lack of a better term. Focus characters, I guess, would be.
They're the
That's
chosen
not
ones.
the chosen one. Yeah, like that's yeah. I'm gonna go with the term focus characters just because it's a. But like that's not including secondary characters, or let alone any type of anyone else coming in and like exploring world design or world logic that you're throwing in. So yeah, I mean I do think that it is a valid question to figure out like okay, well what are the like what are the metrics here of like how many people are here because they because they dig werewolves, and how many people are here because they dig police detective stories, and how many people are here because they dig this specific fantasy. But out of the ones that are in it for the fantasy part, like yeah, like how are you not into this? Like it's just, but
All right, page done.
whoop whoop.
Whoop. Page done. I'm gonna call it. Thanks everyone for watching
Yeah,
the
thank you
stream.
everyone.
We'll be back next week. I will
No, we're not.
next week.
No, we're not. No,
You're not,
next week.
but I'll be
Oh,
back
but
with Alina
oh,
on
good.
Tuesday.
Oh, you're here
So,
on Tuesday.
because
That's right.
Alina and I stream on Tuesdays,
Oh, that's...
so I'll be
And then
here.
what do you do on Thursdays?
Thursdays, Bones and I usually play video games, but Bones is out of town, so no street video games tomorrow.
No.
But Tuesday I will stream with Alina, and we will be drawing again, and probably talking about D&D and whatever stuff. And yeah, please go back my Patreon and read both my comics. You're the Chosen One is 23 kids. Get the same prophecy dream, telling them they're the chosen one. City Between is about werewolves in the future. Thanks everyone, and y'all have a good night.